All right, all right. Looks like we're live.
Hey.
Yeah, I hear you. So we should be good to go. All right, so yeah, good morning if you're joining us from the Americas. Good afternoon, good evening for anywhere else. I am in my beautiful Progress Software office today. No, I'm just kidding. It's a virtual background, as you can tell. I can switch around. I can be at a beach because I did not realize until this Monday that today was a U.S. holiday. So, yeah.
All the days kind of go together, don't they?
Yeah, we are living through some fun times. But I mean, for me, as long as I have a little bit of time and I have some help with childcare, I can work a little bit. Working from home, sometimes you just measure your losses and get stuff done whenever you can. Yeah, so welcome folks to CodeItLive. Today is Friday, so it's our day to kind of chill. If you're new to the channel, we do a lot of stuff throughout the week. You see a schedule that we try to follow. I do some CMS on Mondays. I do Unity on Tuesdays. I do some Xamarin or XAML on Thursdays, and Fridays we kind of sit back and relax and have conversations, which is what we are missing with friends and coworkers in our community. Wednesdays, we do React and UI. And last Thursday, hopefully you joined us, we did a full 8-hour stream on like a throwback jQuery, which was a lot of fun. Our teammates, TJ and Alyssa, built some Twitch extensions with jQuery, which was fun. But today, I am Sam Basu. But I mean, I'm not Sam Basu just today, I guess. I am every day. But I am a dev advocate at Progress Software. But I'm excited today, though, because I have my very, very good friend for years and years now, Mr. Kevin Griffin, with me today. Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm well, Sam. How are you?
Not too bad. So, do you want to introduce yourself, please?
Sure. My name is Kevin Griffin. I'm in now 11-time Microsoft MVP. My focus is in ASP.NET Core and deploying apps to Microsoft Azure. I've been an independent consultant for 9 years now. And before that, I worked for consultancies and doing some dev evangelist work. But just try to be very active in the community. I reside in Norfolk, Virginia, on the East Coast. So it's nice 10 a.m. over here.
Yeah, I'm in East Coast as well. So.
And I work in a shed quarters. So that's me.
What's your shirt say? I have a fake internet job.
A fake internet job.
Nice.
Because that's what I really do.
Chat room is getting full. Let me see if I can see the chat. Our good friend Joe is here. Hello, Joe.
Good, it's early for Joe. Hey, Joe.
It's very early. I don't have my Stream Deck hooked up, but otherwise I would have rainbows and chickens for you. But you have seen it all. You are a common visitor here to our channel. So, Joe, no, I do not do a lot. I struggle. You have seen me struggle. Joe knows me as Minecraft Sam because there were times when my network would just go down and I would just look pixelated. So, yeah, I try. I did actually upgrade my network recently because I mean this stuff takes a bit of a load, and I have what's called like the classic fake gigabit internet.
Yeah.
So it is gigabit, but it's carried over copper, so it's not really.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah, our cable companies love their monopolies, and they will say, "Oh, we are just going to draw a fiber optic line to your home, but the rest is all copper."
Yeah.
And I was like, "That's not really how it's meant to be," but okay.
I'm not a network engineer, but I don't think that's how that works.
Yeah. All right, so Kevin, like I said, I have known you for years, kind of back from your dev evangelism roles. Was it Grape City or?
I worked. Yeah, it was Component One. They were acquired by Grape City.
Yeah.
And we'll just stop there.
Yeah. No, but I mean, what I have known you for is your community involvement for years and years, and you have done some amazing things. So I want to kind of start with the basics as to like where you are at today. But how did you start? How did you get started in a tech career, like in this industry?
Yeah. So I think we're part of the lucky generation. Like we remember life without internet. And like coming of age in the internet, I was probably 9 or so when I got my first computer. My Dad set it up in our dining room, and the rule was no one touched the computer unless Dad's there, because he was treating it like a power tool. He wanted to make sure that no one broke it because it was a really expensive toy to have in the house. And my dad was in the Navy, and kind of the unintended consequence of being in the Navy is they just take you out to sea for months and months at a time. My dad got called on a deployment for like 3 to 6 months, and wow, the cat's away, the mice will play. So I just started reading books, and one of the books I was reading was DOS for Dummies, and I was just flipping through it because I wanted to learn how this computer worked. And there's a section in DOS for Dummies that was on Q Basic, and it was like, how do you teach the computer to do things? How do you program on it? And I started messing around with Q Basic, writing some very simple little programs. Got really into it. Went to the library, got more books on it. And this was in elementary school. So the librarians then just didn't know how to handle the questions I was asking. It's like, well, I want to learn how to program computers. They're like, well, have you tried HyperCard on an Apple II? And anyone out there who has no idea what a HyperCard is, it's not programming. It's just like click and drag stuff around the screen. So I kind of had this early interest in programming, picked up. It wasn't until really high school that I picked up a real language like C++. Went to college for computer science, which was 4 very wasted years because you had to have the degree to get the job. So it doesn't matter how much you knew going into college, you just needed that degree getting out. So I got the degree in computer science, barely, and got my first job working for Symantec, the internet security folks. And I worked on a cool little team that worked on a component of Norton Security called Decomposer. And it was a utility that would open container files like zip files, Word documents, Excel documents, anything that's a file that can contain other files. I was in that job for a total of 3 months, and they brought us in, the entire building, in for our all hands meeting, which wasn't uncommon. They would do it every quarter, except the vice president of the company was there. He said, "Hey, I got good news, and I got like not so good news." And well, the not so good news is you're all fired. We're closing the building. We're letting you all go.
There's some good news after this.
Well, the good news was we're giving you a 3-month severance. And it's like, oh, okay, well, that sucks. So I basically got paid for 6 months of a job, and I got to put Symantec on my resume, and I thought that was fun. I went to work for a consulting company after that here in Chesapeake, Virginia, and spent about 3-4 years of my life there. Had a lot of fun, and I had gone into that job realizing, having been fired from my first career job ever, I realized there is no such thing as job security. I'm never going to depend on someone else for my livelihood. And because literally at a snap of the finger, they can take it away. So I had gone into this new consulting company and said, I need to make sure I spread myself as far as I can and make sure I am always employable. So I was looking for communities that I could get involved in. And down in my area, there were none. So I looked around, and I live in Norfolk, Virginia, and 2 hours north of me is Richmond, Virginia. And in Richmond, Virginia, there was a .NET group up there. And I had asked my new wife at the time, hey, every month I like to drive up to this and sit through a meeting, meet some people, and started doing that every month. And clockwork, get off at 3, drive up to the meeting, sit through a meeting, drive home that night. And I did that for months. Eventually started a group down in my area. I started getting involved in code camps and speaking at conferences. And it's just like a tumbleweed of things happened after that. But that was the thing that kickstarted it all, was getting fired from that first job.
Yeah, it's quite a story. So our good friend Joe is in the chat room. And when you were talking about DOS, he said something about Gorilla Bass, which I don't know what that is.
So Gorilla, I'm trying to remember. It was one of the sample apps in QBasic. I forgot what it even did. Maybe it was just like a gorilla throwing monkeys, like or a gorilla throwing bananas.
See,
I'm trying to remember exactly what it was.
All right, so that's quite a story, and then obviously, sample app is what Joe said. Okay, so the community, the dev community that we are all a part of. I think you said it right. Like, I mean, our knowledge and our experience cannot be taken away.
Yeah.
So is that primarily what drove you to do your own thing?
Yeah, primarily, I had gone into it initially just wanting to meet people and talk. I wanted to learn. I wanted to observe from others. I wanted to be very selfish and just absorb as much knowledge as I could. And I learned very early on, just meeting these people that were just freely giving their knowledge away and having these conversations. I learned that the trait that I really wanted to emulate was teaching. And someone had convinced me, like, hey, we have this code camp coming up. It was in Roanoke, Virginia. And Roanoke it's in the middle of nowhere. I mean, but they had this great little code camp that would get 150 people. And someone said, you should do a talk. It's like, well, what do I do a talk on? It's like, well, what are you working on right now? And I had been working on WPF at the time. Like, WPF was brand spanking new. And I said, I could do a basic WPF talk. So someone said, all right, you're doing a WPF talk. And they put me on the main stage, and I did my WPF talk for 15 people. And afterwards, I had at least 15 great conversations about the talk and just what's going on. And that I kind of got the bug there. I was like, all right, what can I talk about next? And I just started building the talks and presenting them over and over again, and then just kind of expanding my reach. So I was speaking at almost every major community event on the East Coast that I could get myself to.
Nice. Yeah, and often it's just getting out of the bubble, just getting started. And the dev community is very forgiving. It's a great place for us to kind of learn and share our expertise. So it's kind of like an extended family of folks that you know and you trust. So yeah, like they say, the rest is history, and here you are today. So how would you describe what you do to a 4-year-old? And I think your youngest is what?
I have a 4-year.
You have a 4. Yeah. I have one 4-year-old as well.
I just, the way I explain it to my sons is I make the computers do things for people. Yeah. And they're, even my 9-year-old, he kind of understands what I do, but doesn't really. That's why I have a fake internet job shirt, because I just come out to my office for a couple hours and I make money and I leave. That's my job.
I just like bang on the keyboard. I've heard people say, like, bring in the video game aspect. Like, I make things move on the computer. I make things work. Cool. So, like, you have been flying solo for how many years now?
It's 9 years now. Wow. Yeah, I think I jumped ship from a corporate job back in 2011.
Wow, was that nerve-wracking?
What's that?
Was that hard, like, initially?
Oh, yeah, it was insanely difficult. We were pregnant with our first son, and I had gone in to my boss and said, I had a great opportunity. A very good friend of mine, I know you know Rich Dudley as well. Yes. And Rich came to me and said, I have an opportunity for you. And I said, this is something I need to do. We had just paid off all of our debt. So we didn't have any debt except a house payment. Like, things are just lined up. I should take this opportunity. So I set my business up. I actually came on as a contractor for Component One. Nice. And did that for a year or two. And yeah, it basically kickstarted my business as a consultant, because then I just jumped right back into consulting work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Often, like, you need a pedestal to kind of get started. You need to have a little bit of confidence while you build things up. Yeah, absolutely. And it's a small world, like you mentioned, Rich Dudley. I have known him for years as well, and I have always seen him when we would be traveling outside, for conferences and stuff. But he actually lives in Pennsylvania. He's about 2 hours down south of me in Butler, Pennsylvania. And funny thing is, his wife and him are alumni at a college where my wife is a professor. It's Allegheny College. So yeah, small world. You never know where people are.
Man, yeah,
where they're from. Yeah, cool. All right. So given that you fly solo, what's the most exciting part, and what are some of the challenges in how you do things?
The exciting part is I get to be really choosy about the projects I work on.
Yep.
I don't say yes to every project. I will.
That's a good luxury to have.
Yeah, I have a lot of opportunities that come across my door, but I really look at the opportunity and I say that I have a very specialized set of skills and I have a knowledge base that not everyone has.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not just going to take any project that comes across. I want to be very choosy about what I do, and I have the flexibility of having that. I have the privilege of having that.
The way you phrased it, though, it's kind of reminding me of the movie Taken. I think I forget the name of the actor, but like I have a specific set of skills and I'm going to come and get you.
Yeah, exactly. It also gives me the flexibility to work on other initiatives. I've worked on a couple small startups, just messing around and trying to use my skill set for something more than someone else's benefit. Is probably the best way to say it. The real problem though with being independent is I don't necessarily work with a team, and I really miss the team aspects of coding. So when I worked with a team at a consulting company, it wasn't uncommon for me or someone else to just get up and go into someone else's office and BS for 20 minutes. Hey, what games are you playing? What's this? What's that? And we would just plan that into our day where, all right, we're going to have just some office mate time. And I had really good relationships with all my coworkers, and working for myself, I didn't have that. I have my friends and I make a very conscious effort to keep up with them as much as I can, but there's only so much you can do behind a camera. It's that human interaction that I miss so much.
Yeah, I mean, it's Code with Sean in the chat room pointed out it's Liam Neeson, of course. So thank you. Yeah, and some of these are challenges, like when we switched, like I've been working from home for like 10 years, although like this feels very different. As we all know, like quarantine working from home is different from normal working from home, but you miss that interaction at times, just being able to walk up to somebody and dive into a problem together. And you never know when you ping somebody else, like what the other person is going through. Like, are they debugging, or are you just going to ping them randomly? So it's hard. It's hard, but I think you learn to just educate yourself. Just look around for any innovative solutions to get you across that roadblock that you're hitting.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. So like when you talk about like technologies that you are passionate about picking, like how do you figure out, like when you look at something bleeding edge, like when do you jump onto it for your projects?
That's a great question. I tend to be pragmatic about it. I never will pick up a technology just because it's bleeding edge. I will pick up a technology if I think it can solve my problem. And there's a lot of technology I've pulled in and then I pulled out because it just doesn't solve the problem the way that I think it would. In consulting, it's especially interesting because you're charging people for your time. And they're expecting a result, and they're expecting a result in a certain amount of time. You can't just take forever on these things. And so I have to pick a technology stack that I can become somewhat, maybe not specialized in, but I need to know it well enough to get the job done. Like front-end frameworks is just this horrible Wild West of there's something new every day. And so I used to be an Angular guy, and then I jumped ship to React because React solved my problem better. But then I jumped to React to Vue because I realized after doing React for 2 years, I hated doing React. So I've jumped ship these couple of times, but they were calculated jumps where I took an existing project and I rebuilt it in a new technology just to see if I could. And then did a compare and contrast of, well, this was easier, this was easier, this was easier, this was harder, but I'm willing to forgive that. And so make these steps. So my stack changes every year or two. There was a point in my career where I was a Node.js guy. I wasn't doing ASP.NET Core every day. I was doing Node.js, and then eventually I changed my stack back to .NET because I just missed .NET.
Yeah. I mean, talking about your specific set of skills, that is quite an amazing resume you must have built up, because you're switching your stacks. That's not something of a luxury that everybody has, and you get to experience some of the best things and the worst things for every framework. And I think oftentimes it comes down to like the right tools for the right project. Not everything can just be forced into it.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. So talking about technology, what's a really cool piece of technology that you've seen of late?
Wow, that's a tough question. There's a lot of cool stuff out there. One of the ideas that I'm starting to really get behind is I was reading, it was one of the Apple things where they're kind of saying they want everything to be tied to your device. So like even your passport is tied to your device. Your card keys are tied to your device. And as scary as that sounds, as a person who carries my wallet with me and my car keys and my phone, it'd be nice to only ever have to need to carry one thing with me at a time. I'm excited about where that's going, and I think that's going to be interesting. I think autonomous vehicles over the next 10 years is going to be really exciting, especially because since I work from home, my truck just sits in the driveway. I don't go anywhere. And it's made me really think twice about the need to own a vehicle. I own a vehicle for when I need to go places, but do I always need the vehicle? My 1999 Ford Ranger has 160,000 miles on it. It's 21 years old. It should have way more miles on it, but I just don't go anywhere. So why do I need that vehicle? I'd rather call a vehicle on my phone, and then 5 minutes later, it pulls up in the driveway and takes me where I need to go.
Yeah, and some of that I think is already in place, but like you said, like it comes down to implementation, like how secure can it be? And I mean, Apple likes their walled garden, so maybe they'll do things right. A lot of other countries have already are like the wallet thing. It's pretty much done. Like we have things like Apple Pay and Google Pay, which pretty much can do it. Pennsylvania, I think, does actually allow an online or a digital ID card, because that's the hard thing to do, like not having your ID on you. Insurance can be digital, so a lot of things can be done if you are invested in it and if the local and the state and regulations allow. So yeah, maybe in a few years we're going to see almost everything on our phones and be able to pull up your car, have it somewhat self-driving, and have being able to lock and unlock everything through a phone. So why not?
Yeah, exactly. As long as they make the battery life like 3 times longer than what it is now.
That is hard. Yeah. See, I was having a conversation with someone, like battery tech really has not changed in the last decade. It is hard to squeeze out, and maybe like all of the EVs that we are seeing, the electric vehicles, are really squeezing out whatever they can. Maybe that's just going to be an impetus to get this technology moving forward a little bit. Yeah. All right, let's come back to the dev community that we are all a part of, that we love, and it gives us comfort. So you have been involved in lots of different communities. You have run user groups. You have spoken everywhere around the world, but you do also run a conference, and that's Revolution Conf, right?
That's right. Yeah, that's our latest conference endeavor. I've run a couple different conferences, but Revolution Conf is the latest. The theory there was I was a .NET guy, and I have found that people who try to run, let's call them polyglot, or I call them tech agnostic conferences, basically a conference that covers a wide variety of skill levels and skill sets, but brings everyone together into one community. The problem with a lot of these conferences that say we like all technologies is that they're run by like .NET people, or they're run by JavaScript people, and they're like, oh, everyone's invited. It's like, well, that's not how that's going to work, because your folks are you're only talking to .NET people. You're not going to get this wide variety.
While you're talking, I did post the URL to what you're talking about.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, that's from last year's conference. I'll come back to that in a minute. We canceled this year's conference early,
who
before
knows why.
COVID was the thing.
Oh, really? Before COVID?
Yeah,
was the thing. Okay.
back in October, we decided to take a break for a year,
I
and
remember that.
we canceled the conference.
Yeah.
But then COVID happened. And I'm sitting here going, I'm like Nostradamus.
Could have been a natural year of cancellation.
So we had wanted a tech agnostic conference that brought a lot of different people together from skill sets and backgrounds, but I knew I couldn't do that by myself. Like, no one would come to a Kevin.net guy tech agnostic conference.
I would come. Yeah.
So I teamed up with my very good friend. What's that?
I'm friends with you. I would come if it was just you.
Yeah. Well, but you're part of my .net circle. And so I teamed up with my friend Linda Nichols, and she is very popular in the JavaScript space. And then we teamed up with our friends here who is heavy in the Ruby community, and we try to get a person in one of these communities and brought them all together. We said, let's try to do this conference where we kind of unite developers, and we called it Revolution Conf, more or less because we are in America's first region. Williamsburg, Virginia is where, or Jamestown's where it all began, and we were going to call it Revolution Conf because it's kind of where the revolution started. But we couldn't get the conference venue in Williamsburg that we wanted, so we moved to Virginia Beach and made it a beach conference. And so that worked really well because everyone in our group went out, got speakers from their communities. We brought them all together, and we created this really unique conference where there was like this true mixing of technologies and people and backgrounds, and then we continue that into the next year and the next year and the next year. And like the great comments we get is like, holy crap, there's a lot of people here that I've never would have imagined to see at a conference like this, and some amazing keynotes. So it's just a very unique conference. I think if anyone who's ever been to it would tell you it's a very unique conference.
And I can speak to that. I've been there a couple of times. It is incredibly well put together. So thank you for all that you do. I absolutely love the venue. It is right on the beach, and you could just walk out in the sand after your tech conference is done. So that's amazing.
So maybe next year we'll be able to bring it back. We haven't had that discussion yet, but you never know where things are going to be. You never
know. Yeah. So, like, speaking from experience of like running user groups and conferences, it's a lot of work. But what do you think you enjoy the most, and what's the biggest challenge?
Say it one more time. What do I do most in what context?
What do you enjoy the most, like putting together a conference, and then what's the most challenging part?
Oh, okay. So the most challenging part is speakers. There are so many like speaker prima donnas out there who have their writers, and you need to have the brown M&Ms.
Oh no! Are you asking me to hide? I need to go hide.
They are now. They're far and few in between, and no one and they're always the first ones to go on Twitter and say, this conference did not take care of me. And it's like, well, hold on. You should respond to your 50 emails you got on the topic, and then maybe we would help. So the speakers make it worth the attendees make it worth it. The speakers make it harder. And like everything else is just the kind of the gravy. It's I think the best part of the conference experience from an organizer perspective is after that first session begins, because you kind of sit down and go, well, if this is a car wreck, I'm just here for the ride now. It's like this might be the top and we're just going down and there's nothing you can do about it. So you just kind of sit back and relax and you take a breath. And then for the next, day or two or three, you're just putting out little fires, and it's never really anything major. But it's a lot of running around.
You have a well-oiled machine. And speaking of speakers, you got Code with Sean. So here's another speaker who you can invite to keynote.
Yep.
And see, this is where we are getting with our friends. And Tail Learn Code is in the chat room. Hello. This is our good friend Chad Green. And it's like, oopsies, have Kevin and me read speaker emails? Because Chad puts together another awesome conference in Louisville, Kentucky called CodePalooza. So yes, Chad, we're going to try to read emails. So yeah, I mean, speakers are amazing. Speakers are what makes a conference, but some folks like Kevin Griffin just make things difficult.
So, and for a lot of the speaker credit, they're also trying to manage 10 other speaking engagements at the same time.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand everyone's busy, but sometimes we'll send out a very important email, put it in the title. This is super important. If you don't read any of our emails, you need to read this one. And because it's simple things like, if you'd like us to reimburse you for any travel expenses, this is the process for doing it. And then 6 weeks later, oh, where do I send my receipts? It's like, well, did you read the email where we talked about that?
Yeah, our good friend Michael is here in the chat room. Hey good
Michael.
to see you. Yeah, good to see you. Yeah, we are talking about you and everybody of us.
No, not that Michael. He's one of the good ones.
All right, so let's talk about streaming real quick, because this is something I know you do very well. I'm going to pull up maybe something that Joe mentioned a little bit back. So how did you get started with streaming, and what's your current setup? What are your challenges, and how do you overcome them?
Oh, wow. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
So I was really intrigued by our good friend, Jeff Fritz. So he had started down this road, and I was enjoying his stream and went, this is something that's approachable. At the same time, another good friend of mine, Brett Fisher, he's a Docker captain, and he does a weekly Docker show on YouTube. And we had been talking about streaming. I'm like, let me try this out. So I just set up a camera and OBS and my microphone, and did a couple small streams just working on random topics. I hadn't really gotten into a flow. I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I didn't know. I always try to go into things thinking about the return on the investment. Like, well, if I dedicate my time to this, what's the potential return I might get? And so I was very off and on, because it was either stream or bill clients, and it's really hard to pick which one I'd rather be doing at the right time. And I had hit a point back in May. I think May was the real catalyst where it's like, all right, I want to give this some serious effort. It's like COVID helped a ton in that regard, because client work had decreased, so I didn't necessarily have to spend every moment of my day billing. All right, I'm going to make a conscious effort to stream every day. And I did. For 30 days, I streamed every day.
That's amazing.
So every weekday. I didn't stream on weekends. That's like, weekends are like family time. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I would stream sometime during the day, and actually built up a decent little follower pool. And I worked on a variety of different projects, talked to the group out there, upgraded myself to a green screen, and actually try to put some effort into the stream. I think that's what helps a ton, is putting a little bit of effort, trying to refine it a little. And I mean, it's frustrating just still trying to find the time. Like, I don't do the daily stream anymore, but it's still hard when I want to jump on a stream, but then a client fire pops up. It's like, all right, well, I'd rather go make money than stream. And I'm pretty adamant that my day ends before 5 o'clock.
Yeah, that's true. No, you mentioned several very important things, and I mean, it's hard because it takes a lot of effort. And I see in the chat room, good morning, folks. Yeah, good to see you, Code with Sean, Janaka, and Taylor and Code. We have had a lot of good friends of ours have success, and ROI is difficult because it's a long, patient game. You're building up a community as you go. So Jeff Fritz, obviously, is a good friend of ours. Brent Shuley, Suze Hinton, these were folks who were doing streaming before it got cool. And then COVID definitely helped get everybody on, or most people who are interested, onto the streaming game. But to do it, I mean, to get started, I think it's nice to have very little barrier to entry. But like, as you and me have figured out, like, you very quickly hit some bottlenecks. I think like you and me are both on like a 2 PC setup when we are coding, and like Joe mentioned, like upload speeds, your GPU, your video encoding. You need to know about these things. There are some moving pieces here to do things right. So it's an investment for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And I get to use these skills I have. So I volunteer with my church, and with COVID happening, we ended up having to move to a live streaming setup.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been building that out. And one of the things we've been trying to do is uh, do multi-platform streaming. So
Yeah.
go to YouTube, but also Facebook and maybe something else. And the way that the gentleman I'm working with was trying to do it just wouldn't work because our upload speed was too long. It's like, so I come in and I already know the checklist. All right, let's check the computer. Let's check the upload speed. Oh, we're only uploading 15 megs per second. Yeah, that's not going to work. Like, we need more upload speed. So it's nice to have this new skill set that I can just refer to whenever.
Yeah, and some of it is like it's a moving target. You have to keep upgrading, and you have to know what works for you and your stream. Code with Sean, yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah.
With everything going on, cameras and green screens are hard to find. So yes, that's true. I've seen like some shops and some online things start getting things back on back order. So yeah, unfortunately, that's the nature of the game, and just keep on looking. I'm sure things will. I think they're just like staggering things and just taking care of the essentials first. Yeah. Tablecloth. Yeah, a lot of folks have figured out. Like, I mean, they have painted their walls behind. So yeah, it's difficult getting everything set up. I for the longest time had a green screen which would just like lean against my chair. It was horrible because I really couldn't move.
Yep.
Yeah. So finally, we just had to get something that is just stands by itself. So get yourself what you need, but like take your time. So this is the thing. And again, I mean, I have mine and Kevin's Twitter handles down there. There are lots of folks. There is Chad Green. There's everybody who's coding. We're all here to help. We are all here to maybe have a quick conversation to see what's not working for you, because there are lots of pieces to this, and we can try writing things down as to like, but there is no single ideal streaming setup. It's whatever works for you and your setup, right? So yeah, seek help if you need to, and we are all here.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. I want to be conscious of your time as well. So let's talk about a few other things outside of just work. What is your most favorite tech gadget right now?
My most prized tech gadget is my Amazon Echo.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's the one tech gadget I use every day, and I have a Gen 1 Echo up on my shelf.
Mm-hmm.
And I still use it every day. I walk in, I walk into the shed, and first thing I do is I connect to my phone. It's my speaker for the office. I'll ask it just dumb questions throughout the day. Like, I don't use a calculator too much anymore. I will just ask the Echo.
Yeah.
Hey, what's 152 divided by 6, and because I don't want to do that math in my head, I don't want to bring the calculator up. Let me just ask the Echo, and sure. I want to say her name because she'll be like, "What do you want?"
Yeah, and I mean, I got stuff sitting under my
desk. Yeah. So
we do not want to say the word.
I say Echo, and but I use my Echo every day, and I have one in all the rooms of my house that I spend time in. Nice. And usually it's just like a music player, but it's also nice to connect my phone, just ask random questions. I use it for a timer. I do Pomodoros during the day. Mm-hmm. That's how I stay productive. And I'll just tell it, say, Echo, set a timer for 25 minutes. And then when it goes off, all right, it's break time. Get up and do something else. So
it's amazing what you can do.
About my Echo.
Some of the home automation stuff that I've seen is pretty amazing. Our good friend like Jeff Blankenberg out of Ohio, he does a stream. He's a dev advocate, and building skills for these things is not so difficult at all. So if you're into it, just start somewhere. And I mean, the docs are solid. There's a lot of help, and it can do amazing things. All right. So what do you do outside of work? How do you relax? What's your social life like?
Well, during times of COVID, there ain't much you can do. The one thing I really enjoy doing outside of like tech work is woodworking and making. Nice. I used to do a lot of woodworking with my dad when I was a kid, and just those first couple of years of being married, having kids, I'd fallen off that hobby, and I've been slowly trying to build myself back up to where I can do some regular projects, building my garage back into an actual shop where I can do some of that work. My entertainment time isn't Netflix, it's YouTube and watching maker videos and getting ideas for projects. That's what I enjoy doing.
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, have you considered like maybe streaming some of that? Because I mean, there's a big audience for watching and learning that stuff.
I've thought about that. The garage is a different environment.
It is completely different. Yeah.
But I thought about that entirely. I had come up with a brand idea for a YouTube channel and say, all right, well, maybe if I did this, and I think that's my retirement plan. Actually, is get out of tech altogether and just go like build furniture or stuff like that. I would.
Yeah, no, in the chat room, Code with Sean is saying, what do you do for your relaxing projects or programming languages? And I used to be a big proponent for this. Like a dev should be known by their side projects and different languages that we're trying to learn. And all of it is still true. Absolutely. It gives us it opens our mind. It gives you a fresh perspective to think it through. But I mean, as I age, I've also realized it's important to disconnect and really spend time. Your kids are growing up. We are helping them making memories and spending time into other things like woodwork or any other builder type things. It's just maybe it is connected to tech, but it's just slightly different. So you're not always stuck in front of a computer.
Yeah. Well, like woodworking and making in general, you're using a different. I would say you're using a different side of your brain.
Yeah.
I'm still solving problems, but I have to come up with more creative solutions to those problems, and it's just generally more relaxing. And the reason I enjoy woodworking is because I'm not making money from it, and it's just something I do for fun. Coding is something I do for work, so I feel like anything I do coding wise really needs to be towards it's that return on investment. Like if I invest time into this, is there a long game for doing this work? And it's as much as I would love to learn every language out there, I want to read every tech book. I want to learn everything I can. I have kind of surrendered to the idea of I should just stick with what I know right now, and I should explore a little bit outside of that bubble, but I don't want to stray over to another bubble. Like you're never. I have an interest in learning Elixir and Phoenix and all that good stuff because I think it's fascinating, but it's not. I don't think there's ever going to be a point in my career where I become an Elixir guy, and or Python for that matter. I might want to know a little bit about these languages and technologies, but I'm never going to become a guy in those platforms.
Yeah. I mean,
I would have said differently. I'm like, yes, I want to know everything.
Yeah, it's hard. Like when you talk about like full stack dev, and then like for better or worse, like our industry tends to reward specialists because I mean, you deep dive, you become a subject matter expert, but that takes time. And as you deliver more and more things for your clients, as you move forward in life, you just don't have as much time to invest and just be so much of a deep dive expert in other like bubbles, like you said. Yeah.
And even then you become a subject matter expert. Like I feel fairly confident in my skills as an ASP.NET Core guy and deploying solutions to Azure. Like I feel confident in that because I have been doing that for years and years and years and years. But going out to some of these shows, doing a talk on the thing I know pretty well that I promote myself as an expert in, someone comes and asks me a question, I go, I have no effing clue. Like that's a humbling question. I don't know. So it would be even worse if I was just journalist.
Right.
Just every question would be, I don't know.
Yeah. All right. What's your favorite food or favorite cuisine?
Love me a good steak. Actually, we're having steak tonight for 4th of July. So I love a good steak.
Yeah. Nothing wrong in that. Do you do fireworks with the kids?
No. Usually we would take kids to the city park. Our city does a would do fireworks on the 3rd, so you didn't have the traffic of the 4th, but because of COVID, no one's doing fireworks, so we'll probably just go outside. Someone will have some firecrackers or something, but nothing big. But I don't do fireworks because they're illegal. The good ones are illegal in Virginia.
Yeah.
You have to go down to North Carolina to buy the good ones. So that's just way too much effort. I don't like the amount of care I have to drive to another state to get fireworks. Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah. The good ones are really also not legal in Pennsylvania. But I mean, it's just some of the smaller stuff. And our kids are small enough, so they're happy with like a small sprinkler or whatever little things. So I'll do a little bit of that. Okay, trick question. Well, maybe not a trick question. Maybe you have a plan for life. If you had $1 million right now, what would you do?
I have a plan for that.
Okay.
So one of the things I've done on the side for 3 years is I have a podcast called Two Frugal Dudes, and we talk about personal finance. And so the first thing I would do is I would pay off my mortgage, and then I would probably I would max out retirement accounts for the year, and I put the rest into a total U.S. stock index fund, and just kind of sit on the money. And, maybe keep $1,000 or $2,000 and go on vacation or something. But my long-term plans is it's not to spend all my money now. It's that I'd rather be conservative with my money now and then be more relaxed in my later years. Like when my kids are teenagers, I really want to have fun with my kids as teenagers. I don't want to have to work every day for every day, every week. I'd rather maybe work 2 hours in the morning and say, all right, I'm taking the afternoon off. Hey guys, let's go do something.
Yeah. Amen to that.
Yeah.
All right. So, Kevin, parting thoughts on what you are looking forward to over maybe the next year or so, technology-wise, or anything else that really motivates you?
My motivation is teaching. So we just had MVP reawards for everyone, and I got reawarded for my 11th year.
Yeah, congratulations.
And I had said if I made it to 10 years, I wasn't going to care after that. I wasn't going to put any effort to it. Now I hit 11. I'm like, crap. I might as well go for 15. So I have this kind of newfound inspiration to just keep doing what I'm already doing. I mean, that's the secret of the MVP award is just do what you're doing, and usually the award comes with it. And I just enjoy teaching and training. I do a lot of that stuff. I don't want to do so much consulting anymore, or I want to do more specialized consulting if I do it. But I just love teaching people stuff. So over the next year, my big plans is just putting out more training material. So anyone who's interested in .NET, ASP.NET Core, that sort of thing, follow me on Twitter. Wait, hold on.
Yeah, right there.
There we go.
So you know where to find Kevin
Twitch.
Online. Yeah,
that's all I talk about mostly.
Yep. What's your Twitch handle so folks can find you?
Twitch handle is also OneKevin.
Yep. Okay, wonderful. All right, Kevin, thank you so very much for taking the time to come and join me. I don't know if it was a holiday for you since you fly solo. I don't know. Do you get to work?
There are no holidays.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Happy Independence Day.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
But again, for a lot of folks in the U.S., it is a holiday. So like Michael said, happy 4th if you're in the U.S. But we are, again, living through a global pandemic. So please take care of yourself. Take care of your families. Have empathy. Be kind to yourself. And we shall get over this. So Kevin, I have known you for years and years, and you're awesome. We love you. So just keep doing what you're doing, like you said.
I love you all too. Thanks so much for having me.
All right. Thank you, folks. And we shall see you next week for our scheduled streams. But until then, have a good weekend and have fun and stay safe. All right.
Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.